Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Alisana Ventura, the marketing manager at Navozyme. Navozyme was founded with a mission to enhance lives and to facilitate decarbonization via innovative technology solutions that raise the safety, the productivity, and the reputation of the global maritime industry. At Navozyme, we have developed cutting-edge technology solutions for key maritime certification processes related to ship registry, port clearance, marine pollution, and seafarers training certifications. Our solutions benefit not only diverse maritime organizations like ship owners, maritime and port authorities, MARPOL operators, maritime training institutions, or crewing agencies, but also the seafarers. In today's session, titled From Cadet to Master and Beyond, we honor the seafarer, especially the female seafarer. Although more women have been attracted to the maritime careers over the past decade, the number of women seafarers has remained microscopic. According to the International Maritime Organization, women represent only 2% of the world's maritime workforce. Needless to say, these women face some unique and unusual challenges compared to their male peers. In today's session, we are privileged to have Captain Maria Cristina Javellana, the first Filipino master to command a foreign-going merchant ship. She will share her personal experiences and leadership lessons in a conversation with Anjaney Borwankar, Navozyme's co-founder and chief executive. Now, without further delay, I would like to welcome Captain Maria Cristina Javellana and Anjaney Borwankar. The floor is yours, Anjaney.
Thank you, Elisenda. Thanks a lot. Can you also have your video on, Maria, please? Fantastic. Excellent. Very nice. So what an honor.
Yeah.
What an honor, really. This is a super exciting webinar for me. And I'd like to thank you first for supporting Navozyme. As you can see, I'm so excited, so nervous to have this conversation with you. But I think I should do my job properly. Okay, so I need to first introduce you in a proper way. So what better introduction than just saying the first Filipina master mariner in the world? Wow, that's an honor. So that's the first thing. You're also an alumnus of MAP, the Maritime Academy of Asia and Pacific. You've been at sea for many years, and now you're based in Singapore, and you have responsibility with Maersk tankers at the moment, right? So here, really, as an introduction to you, lots of people look up to you. You're an inspiration. It's an understatement to say that you're a pioneer, because basically what you've done is something that has never been done before. So of course, we are very excited and we are very keen to know about your story and your lessons. And hopefully we can, get some wisdom from that. So thanks again for doing this. For our viewers here, I must remind you that you can ask your questions through the chat box, which is below. I'm going to start the conversation. This is going to be a conversation where Captain Maria Cristina Javellana, or I will call her Maria, and I've asked her permission for that, will be basically talking about her life from starting as a cadet, or even before your choice of joining the maritime industry, then from a cadet evolution to a master and beyond, right? So that's really the topic today. So let me begin. Let me begin by asking you the obvious question, but a very important question. What motivated you to choose a seagoing career?
Hi, first and foremost, I would like to say buenos dias, buenas tardes, or good evening to everyone, because our audiences are from all over the world. So yeah, and thank you, Anjan and Navozyme, for having me here. And it's also like a pleasure to share my experiences with them. And actually what motivated me to choose this seafaring career is because first and foremost, it fits well on my personality. I mean, I am, I love to go around, to travel around, to explore different cultures, So you can say that just basically I'm just a people person, and I love challenges as well. So in the beginning, this is not the first choice that I wanted to take. But then when I saw the cadets of MAAP, where I came from, Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific, who visited our school at the time when I was in high school. So then I saw these snappy cadets, and the way they motivate us, like, seafarers are not just only part of your career, but it's a profession wherein you don't only benefit of traveling around the world, but then at the same time you are it helps you grow also as a person, because you've got that I would say that opportunities where you can learn cultures and meet different people from all over the world. So that really motivates me. And the way that MAAP also, as a maritime academy in the Philippines, is one of the maritime schools that you're gonna look up to where you want to start up with your career.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. So also for the audience, we have a selection of your photos that you have gratefully shared with all of us, right? So we're going to intersperse this conversation with certain photos, of your evolution, right? So here, Elisenda will help me to show certain photos. But let's start with a photo where you probably felt very proud. So, you went to MAAP, and then you basically were welcomed as a chief guest. And, so this photo, which is appearing right now in front of us, I hope all of you can see it. I can see it quite clearly. So you were now at this time, of course, not a cadet, but you were coming as a senior VIP alumnus of MAAP, the Maritime Academy of Asia and Pacific. And I see some faces that I recognize, especially, high respect for Vice Admiral Eduardo Santos. By the way, Navozyme also works with MAAP, right? And this is public, that we are pioneering with them the certifications using our NCAP platform, as we call it, for seafarer certifications, to get it in a blockchain-enabled manner on the mobiles. So thanks to MAAP. So MAAP, we also have a relationship. But when you see this photo, what thoughts come to your mind?
Every time you go back to MAAP, it always brings back good memories there, and it will always humble you down. MAAP is not just an academy for us, but rather it is already embedded in our heart. That is our, what we so-called home. Where we grow. So, I remember before entering MAAP, I was a girl. Like, I may have goals, but not yet fully, how to say that, I didn't visualize yet my future at the time. But MAAP molded you to become one, to become a better person of yourself, not just because you are being disciplined inside, but then at the same time, it's how the academy and the brotherhood inside, develop you as a person, and as where you are right now, and how you can, give this back to the society. And looking at this photo, it was such a great honor that after 10 years, we graduated from MAAP, and we have contributed to its honor, not just only because we have achieved what we have achieved in our career, but at the same time, it's time that we need to pass on these learnings that we have with us to our juniors and for the next generation to come. So for me, this reminds me always of my humble beginnings in MAAP.
What a fascinating story. It's also fantastic that what inspired you, part of the inspiration here was MAAP's smart cadets and officers as well. And now you go back and you actually inspire the younger generation. So fantastic. So we'll talk a little bit about your cadetship and your training, okay? And Alessandra, here you can intersperse some photos that Maria has shared with us about her time at MAP. But can you tell us, how was it when you actually started your training? Were you amongst the very few female cadets at that time? And anything you would like to share? Because I'm sure you were the minority at that time. So any strange things or any particular incidents that you would like to share?
You can say that we belong to the minority, but actually, like, when I first entered at MAP, I was alone. So I came from a different province. So I traveled myself alone, like with the other, with my other classmates. They have their parents with them or some relatives. So I am alone, and it is not what you are expected it to be. That everything comes, easy. That everything will be handed in your plate. I take things one day at a time. So there may be some hardships, a lot of challenges, physically, mentally, and even in our academics. You would say that your beginnings are always hard. But then as you experience this, and you are not alone on the journey, because you have your brothers and sisters with you, and you have your instructors and our tactical officers. So you have like a big core support group there, who are more than willing to help us, to mold us to become the better version of ourselves. I remember that Admiral Santos, that every time, when we have this induction, or when during our IUP period, and then when he said to our parents that now you see your children from a girl, and then we'll turn into a woman, and from a boy into a man. So it is, it is a big word, and it comes with the different levels of responsibilities as we grow up, and as we are improving ourselves. So being a cadet there is a different journey. It's a different experience, I would say, and you will never feel that you are given a special treatment, because everybody will experience the same thing. Doesn't matter what gender you are. So if that is the food that being prepared for us, rice and fish, then everybody has to eat the same. So we do things together, like we woke up at the same time, we do our exercises at the same time, and we had a very strong belief of camaraderie. So if one person commit a mistakes, then everybody has to suffer the consequences. So it means to say that when you are growing together. You're not only growing alone. And that kind of journey in MAAP really helped me a lot. And it's not only because I studied there, but I can see that a lot of us has benefit from where we are right now. It's the molding of the character from the beginning there that brought us to where we are right now.
Fantastic. So here we are seeing already some photos of you, as with your life on board the ships. Earlier we saw the photos of MAP. So we'll go step by step here. I saw some, beautiful photos of a few ladies from MAP, probably during your celebrations there. So that's a nice introduction here. Let's jump straight into, your life on board the ship. Okay, the audience here, as you rightly pointed out, come from all over the world. Almost, I could say with confidence, almost all of them are connected in some way or the other with the maritime industry. So really they're curious to know, how is it that a lady, a female, a woman is actually going to be on board a ship? How is life there? So can you tell us a little bit about the context, when you first started your career out at sea, right? Because it's been over a decade since, you're still very young, but it's been over a decade since, you first stepped on board the ship. So how was first, let's take, how was the context at that time? And then we can come to, how it's evolved, if at all.
Yeah, actually, one thing I would really be thankful about is because, in MAAP, we have experienced some kind of this, isolated kind of environment, because we have to stay there, and we were only allowed to go out during our shore leave days. In first year it was tough because only certain occasions where you're allowed, and if you behave well, you can go out, but if not, then you have to stay and do some community services inside the academy. So it's the same, almost the same environment when I first joined the vessel, but only with limited number of people. And it's like always brings back to your memories when you first enter MAAP, when you don't know anybody else and you came from different provinces where you have individual differences that, even you are on the same nationality, of course, every provinces have different cultures also. We have our different languages. So it's the same when I was on board. So, but the biggest challenge there is because whatever we have learned from the academy, theoretical wise, our skills there. So this is now like in the real world where we have to apply on it. So being a cadet, and I remember at the time I was the only woman on board as a cadet there. It's quite tough because, at that time, when I started it, the acceptance of having a female on board the vessels are quite hard. So you have different perspective, and you already been judged, or you have, there's a lot of prejudices, and you're being stereotyped already that, okay, this kind of profession is not for women. So you have that kind of demoralizing words that would discourage you to become one, especially there are some physical jobs that you have to do. But then, because I was so focused on my goal, right? For me, it doesn't matter. I always think to myself that there's always a first time for everything. So how do you know that when a certain job is hard unless you really do it yourself? How do you know that, it would take you so long to achieve or to complete a certain task unless you do it by yourself? Yeah, we can learn a lot from the books, how to overhaul an equipment, or, how to fix if there's any damaged equipment on board the vessel. But then at the same time, when you are putting your two hands together, like, be on the site and do it yourself, and then only then you can learn, and then you can have the satisfaction, and then you can share to everybody that, yeah, it is really tough, but I was able to do it, and I'm still enjoying it.
This is cool here, really fantastic. Now, you shared with us some very interesting photos, and we had a little bit of time to discuss some of them. So there's a photo there, and Elisenda has a tough job right now. She's managing quite a few things. But Elisenda, if you can help us dig out some onboard ship photos, especially the not so clean photos which are there, because there are some interesting stories there on board. And it will also go to prove that, you got your hands dirty. So it wasn't like you were this petite lady, dainty female on board, just commanding other people. No. Here is this photo that we discussed. And would you like to tell us a little bit the story?
Yeah, actually, this is, you see, I'm still smiling there. But even though it was a really rough day for us, I think we are having some repairs going on the dock keel, and I have to be there, supervise, and then help a little bit with the workers and also with my crew members. So yeah, you see, having like a dirty white coverall, but I don't mind, I'm happy working with it, because at the same time I'm learning from it. So yeah, and I remember we were supposed to have a pilot in the next like 2-3 hours the time, and the pilot came on board earlier than like usually does. So I have to go up and rush, to prepare myself and meet him. And when he saw me, I welcome him on board, and when he saw me, he just asked me where the captain is. So I told him that yeah, you're speaking to the master. So I told him, give me a couple of minutes, I will just clean up myself and be ready, to meet you there on the bridge. And then as soon as I got up on the bridge, and to my surprise, actually, he gave me a snappy salute, and he congratulated me, and he was impressed. He said that it's very rare that you see such kind of a dirty coverall masters wearing on board the vessel. So at least he appreciate the hard work that I am putting in. But Anjaney, that I wanted to share to everybody, working on board a vessel, I don't really mind about gender or things like that, but it's just more of what are your responsibilities there on board.
Right. Very, very nice to hear this. And also, yes, it's clear that there are lots of prejudices, that are there, especially towards female seafarers. The traditional mindset of a seafaring job is one with, a hulk with big muscles, tattoos all over the place, and pulling ropes. And then, it's a male-dominated world even today. As Elisenda said in the introduction, the statistics show that less than 2% of all the workforce is female. And this is just the maritime industry. If you go down to who are on board ships and how many of them are actually commanding or in leadership positions, of course, it's a fraction. It's a tiny, tiny percentage. So again, hats off to you. And I would also salute you. What you've achieved here is tremendous. Now here, there's a nice question that comes up, which was on my list, and it was for later, but I think it's a nice segue. So Arvin Ivan Peralta is actually asking this question, which I'm sure is in the minds of lots of people. What advice would you give your younger self as a girl deciding to pursue the maritime profession? And I'll add a little bit more to this. I'd say, hey, would you do this again? Or now that you've seen other options, you would perhaps not consider this. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say that, if I'm talking to my younger self, I would say that I will have to do it again. And only if I have prepared myself earlier, and do it much better when I was there in MAP, preparing myself before I joined my first vessel. Then yeah, because I have no regrets, actually. It's more of the countless blessings that when I started entering MAP until this day. So yeah, that only that.
That's so gracious, actually, to basically say that you feel thankful for what you've been given.
Yeah. And by the way, Anjan, yes. Arvin is my classmate also in MAP.
I see.
Yes.
So you have a lot of friends today tuned in. So unfortunately, we can't see all the participants who are tuned in. But again, I repeat that any of you feel free to drop in your comments or even your questions, and I will try to bring them up in the time that we have. Good. So here, let's move now to you getting command. Okay. So how was that transition? Perhaps from a junior officer to a senior officer, and then from chief to master. And did you notice any biases, prejudices, etc., even after you have proven your competence on board the ships? Because initially, okay, there may be a bias, but once you've performed, if the bias still remains, then perhaps, it's really deep rooted. So how would you respond to that? What have been your experiences?
Yes, actually, you're right. Even up to now, there are still some biases, like, prejudices being from where you are. But I know, I like what you've said, it's deep rooted. And I do believe that it will come and it will change, but over the time. And, these challenges started up even when you are cadet, right? Others wouldn't believe that you can graduate from MAAP because also it's like when we first entered MAAP, I remember we were 7 women and we managed to graduate only 5. So the challenges are not just only physically, but it's more on the academic side as well, and how you are able to cope up with the day-to-day activities, because from the start, like when we wake up, so we have to follow all the activities being laid out to us within 24 hours. And so during those times when you are there, so you will hear some other people who discourage you that you wouldn't survive, and and even to the fact that it's very hard to find ship owners that would accept a female on board their vessels. So even if you manage to graduate MAAP, so you still have that another challenge that you have to face with. But I was just so lucky, I would say, that I was discovered by my first company when I was on board at TS Capitan Felix Oka during our OJT, our shipboard training time. So they saw what I can do and how I was able to perform my job on board the vessel. So they encouraged me to apply, and be part of their cadetship program. And then even that is because it is a chemical tanker, and everybody would discourage you that we don't find women on board chemical tanker, especially for Filipinas, right? So from the start, the prejudices, the biases will always be there, but I keep on moving. So from being a cadet, I remember I had once experience with one master where he told me that it was his first time to sail with female, and then he said that he requested for an officer. I think I was a 3rd officer at that time. And I told him, well, it's me, Captain. You have no choice. I'm already here and I cannot go home, right? Because I need also money to support for my family. So you requested for an officer, so here I am. But then after that, as you go along with these people, right, you somewhat not just only proving to them, but the way you deliver to do your job, it transpires to other people, and then it starts it starts on receiving professional respect from them, that hey, she can manage to do it. So it doesn't matter about his gender anymore. So from junior years, yes, there are always ups and downs, but then what really also it's not a surprise for me also, when I took my first command, I have experiences where the pilot initially hesitated to take the vessel out or to take the vessel into the port because he saw that I'm a female master.
Wow.
But then of course, you have to at some point professionally discuss about it, and then eventually I told him, well, if you don't want, then I can find another pilot to bring the vessel out. So it's just only a matter of, it's always like always proving yourself to them. But for me, I don't put that in my mind that I have to continuously prove myself to anybody. But I always think like, I have to be better on day to day. I have to be a better version of myself on day to day, and just continue to do better with what you're doing, because it will transpire. And eventually, you start planting good seeds now, and eventually it will grow, and other people would see that. And once you receive that kind of respect from your colleagues and from other people, and it's a great feeling, a sense of achievement as well.
Wow, that's quite a story. And actually, it just shows how deep rooted it is, no? Because even after you became a master, you still see these biases, like very strong biases, right? It's not like subtle things. It's pretty straightforward. They're telling you in the face that I don't see you as the person in command of the vessel. So yes. So how maybe just on this point, a little bit more, though it's a deep topic, but I'd like to understand your suggestions of what the males can do, okay, on board the ship to sensitize them a little bit more to this. And also, if you have any comments on why you think these biases are so deep rooted.
Why why these biases are deep rooted? It's because when we go back to, I think, to an old age, or old times, right? Seafarings, or even the pirates before, they're mostly men, and they're rough, tough people, and all this. So in most places where you have areas where surrounded by sea, and the life that they choose is to become a seafarer, like a fisherman. So the men, the husbands, are going out to fish. So only the women left on their houses to take care of their children and to take care of the rest of the family. So I think that's where it all started. But eventually, that's on the other side of the world. But then on the other part, you will see also what if she's the only parent, and that's the only way to, and the only way to make a living is to become a fisherman. So that's when it started, having a female started to going on board the vessel. But then, coming us in this industry, okay, or in the shipping, is not to compete with anybody. We are here to complement, right? So we are here for a job, a specific task that is being expected for us. So I think what I can say also for the men is that now we have to be more open-minded. I think, and I believe that there are so many diversity, inclusion, and equality symposium, webinars, and all these are being being taught to us, like how do we accept people, not because of their gender, but because of their capabilities, because that's why you are there, for a certain reason, because you know that you can do a certain job. So I think when we are coming to a change, since it is deep rooted, we have to accept the fact also that this will not happen over the night. And I know there are a lot of organizations and even seafarers who, not only women, but even men, who keep on fighting for equality, which has been done in the past, that even up to now, you will still experience some kind of these biases in other workplaces, whether it is onshore or offshore.
Right. Yeah, thanks for your observations. Again, like you said, we have to continue this, be patient and continue making people sensitive right? However, I think it's important to bring in this other theme. There are lots of comments coming in, and I'll address them very shortly. However, I want to address this theme that today a ship is quite different from when I last went on a ship, which was 20 years back. Okay, but I think it's fair to say that you have also observed the changes here. So today, technology plays a big role. The theme of digital transformation is a big one, and we at Navozyme are at the heart of this, quite frankly. So it's not so much about muscle, but it's really about whether you have the information, whether you have a tranquil and clear mind to take decisions. It's also about inspiring people at this time, because I'm in touch with some masters right now, actually, who are out at sea. And their job is really making sure their crew is in good mental health because of COVID and all the high stresses. They can't step ashore. Sometimes their families are not well, etc. In our recent newsletter, one of our colleagues out at sea actually wrote an article, about this. So it's tough, but it has changed. The point I'm trying to make it has changed from what it was before. So, Maria, how would you say the job on a ship is today for a female seafarer? Is it easier, difficult, and what is the role of technology here that you see?
Actually, the technology plays a vital role in maritime, especially in shipping or on board our vessels. Back in the days, you remember, we always call them like an aid, for example, in the navigation, like an aid to navigation. So it means to say that it will assist the operators or the seafarers to ease the workload. So imagine when I started the seafaring career, I think when I was third officer or second officer, we still used to have paper charts with us. So if the vessel is having a voyage worldwide, so imagine how many charts you have to correct, you have to look after to, and on top of that, like, it's not the only job that you are going to do, because you also have like a safety equipment to deal with, or you have your navigation to look after, to like cargo operation and stuff like that. So it's like a multitasking on board a vessel. So even though you have so much knowledge in doing things, still when you have this kind of technology with you, you have to make yourself also improve. You have to improve yourself. You have to reinvent yourself or reinvent yourself on how you're going to cope up with this digital transformation and technology. So in order for you to make your life even more easier, imagine, like, regardless how good your mobile phone is, right? Even if it is the latest one or the most expensive one. But if you don't know how to do it, then how it will ease up your day-to-day activity, right? So compared to, yes, you have the knowledge, you have the skills, but knowledge and skills also in terms of technology and digital transformation, that also goes with it, right? So I believe for women or for the female seafarers, or let's just say in general, for the next generation of seafarers, right? So the workload, although it's tremendously overloaded, but you have this technology with you that will ease up your day-to-day activity. Now it's only a matter of how you are going to incorporate yourselves on how best you can use this kind of technology that can be, that you can maximize the potential of using it.
Right. Yeah. So it's moving in the direction where the bias, at least from a work perspective, from the environment of the work, is getting more neutral, because it's irrespective of whether you're a male or a female. As long as you're quick to learn, as long as you're agile and you're willing to adapt, you're going to be successful. And I would argue that a female seafarer perhaps is more capable than a male who's in his comfort zone, because you've always had to do that extra bit, because
I think it's because Anjan, by nature, women can multitask.
True. I agree.
So
Totally agree.
So that is one of the advantages. It's just like, but I'm not disclosing, or I'm not saying that only us are good at it, but it's because it's our nature that we always multitasking, right? So even let's just say when you are doing a certain job and you're focusing on it, let's just put one example on navigation. So as you are navigating the vessel, right? So it's not just only you are plotting position on hourly basis and stuff like that. You are monitoring targets. You have VHF radio calls also from different people, and then you have also internal calls from different people on board the vessel, and you have messages coming in and out. So all these informations are just coming into you. Now it's only a matter of how you are going to prioritize this information and how you're going to use this information to make sure that you are continuously navigating the vessel in a safe manner.
Absolutely right. So you're able to take in various inputs and actually digest that better, because that's your very nature. As a female, I think you have that implicit advantage. Okay, good. So here we're coming towards the end. Time has just flown. I had so many other things to discuss, but I want to address some of the comments and the questions that have come in from this audience, and they are actually buzzing there. So firstly, there's a bit of fan mail here as well. So there is Silka Soriana, who's saying you're a source of inspiration. No surprise there. Okay. There's Mihails Philip Jonkos. Okay, sorry, that's a name which is even more complex than mine. So apologies if I pronounced it a little wrong. But again, they're very happy to listen to this conversation and really saluting you. And again, the ships that you worked on are not these fishing boats. Okay, these are these massive ships with complex operations going on. So for those who are, under the impression that these are small coastal vessels or something, that's not what we're talking about. Now, there are a couple of questions. We can't take all the questions, but there are some questions on the theme of as a practical questions, so if you're a female on board the ship and you're surrounded by all men who are physically bigger, stronger, etc. One, have there been any instances where there have been sexual advances? And then if yes, how do you actually, make sure that you can protect yourself and give them a strong message not to do that, right? So that's one. So how do you actually mark your territory very clearly? And then there is also it's along similar lines. There are questions on, any bullying that you noticed, etc. How would you, so just practical advice to the younger people or even the senior people, but from your experience, how have you handled tough situations? So I would generalize this as a question that as a female, if you faced a tough encounter, especially anything which is a gender related encounter, what advice do you have for that?
First and foremost, we don't resolve issues on board by fist to fist, right? So if they show you fist, then you resolve it in a better way, rather than having fights with these people. And let's just say I grew up in my seafaring career where I mostly sailed with different nationalities. So I know that I can sense that you are being surrounded by the big people or taller than you, because Asians we are we are normally small by height, but it's how you carry yourself also. If you give respect to yourself and you respect others, and you have to make sure that you draw a line with them. If you are in a situation where you are not comfortable, then you have to speak up and tell them that, hey, I am not comfortable with you touching me or something like that. So it has to be clear with them, because at the same time, you have to understand also, like, that is not a usual, or maybe for some others, they don't know that what they were doing to you or the way they behave in front of you is causing you already some kind of discomfort. And for you, you think that you are already being harassed. In, you know, harassment can be in any forms, like verbal, sexually, like, you know, emotionally, or mental kind of harassment. So you all gonna have some kind of experiences on this one. But then at the same time, like, you yourself, you must know where your limits are, and it has to be clear with everybody. So it's how you are putting your limitations to them, or your clear line to them. But at the same time, you are also giving respect to them, so that they will respect you back. But then, of course, there are some instances where, you know, people would always wanted to take advantage out of you. You know, and if you feel that you are on that situation, yes, then it's time for you that either you talk to your senior officers if you are junior officers, and then if you think that they cannot resolve it, then you follow your company procedures on how you raise up your grievances, and how your people from the shore could help you. And one thing I would like to give advice to everybody is to make sure that you surround yourself with a good like a core support group, you know, that can help you with. So being there on board, you know, when you are first time, yes, it's okay to be naive, and like, you know, you may not know this, you may not know that, but then you have to equip yourself with knowledge, with the right skills, and with the right attitude. So you know what is right and what is wrong, what is your company procedures, what is our regulations, because you know, being innocent will not save you if you are going to experience some kind of this. So you have to equip yourself with that, and you have to be strong, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So by that, then you can just, you know, because it will echo, it will just transpire you for being who you are, right? And the people would know that hey, okay, this is a no-go for her.
Very practical advice. And again, I think, it shows from your experience that drawing the line, being firm, and then, escalating it if you still see there's some resistance to hearing what you're trying to tell them. So practical advice here. Also, not easy, I can imagine, not easy when you're, thousands of miles away from home, in the middle of literally nowhere with few people. You may feel really disempowered, but what you're telling is the power is already with you. So, use that and don't lose your balance. Yeah,
that's why, also your core, like your core support group is very important, right? Because they are there. When you are lonely and you feel that you are alone, then you yourself, first and foremost, if I have a strong faith with from the guy up above. So then I talk to him, I talk to my family, I talk to the people that I know who loves me and who supports me in this journey, so I don't feel alone.
Right.
And this will give you a clear mind as well, once you are experiencing, or once you are in the darkest time of your life on board.
Right. No, fantastic. Thanks for that, sharing that wisdom advice. We are a little bit over time, but I want to close this properly. So I'm going to extend by a couple of minutes or so, but it'll be the last question. And I'm going to combine it with two things. One is, again, it's a practical question that comes up. So how is the work-family balance, especially it's tough anyway for a seafarer when you're out at sea. But for females, perhaps there's another angle here. So if you have any comments on that. And then as a closure, would you like to also share or say something or give advice on any topic that perhaps we have not talked about. I also, before I pass it to you, Maria, I want to also say that while we were planning this webinar, we realized that there are so many topics that we can delve into where, Maria, you have a lot of experience, which is unique. This is why I think, we can get that information from lots of people, but someone like you is unique, and it's an understatement again when I say that. So we are also planning a second webinar. Okay, so those who are fans of Captain Maria, we'll be planning a second webinar after some time, after you've had some time to digest this webinar. But Maria, thanks again for your insights, and I will pick you up again in a conversation. And that time, perhaps we can focus a bit more on support mechanisms, the impact of COVID really on today on seafarers in general, but also particularly female seafarers and other topics like that. Okay.
Yes.
So I pass it back to you for your final comments and any comments you may have on the work-family balance.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of work-family balance, for now, I don't have a family of my own. So I only have my mother and my siblings with me. So basically, I am very independent. So I have that freedom to choose my life and how I schedule it to be. But for others, for those who have families with them, it's very tough. So I guess it all boils down of, the acceptance of this kind of profession. Yes, it's tough because you may be far away from your loved ones, and that you have to, to make you have to earn living for them, especially when you have your own family with you. But then at the same time, acceptance and understanding, and make your family and loved ones also understand that you're there to work. Certain times wherein communications may not be constant because of certain circumstances, whatever will it be. But, for some reasons that this is the nature of our work, right? Especially for Asian, and I know for Filipinos that we always used to have longer contracts. And I even stayed on board for 11 months, right? So, and most of my seafaring career, Anjan, and for everybody to know that I spent most of my times on board than ashore. So it's either I only have maximum vacation I have is 3 months, but not every contract. It's like one every 5 years or things like that. But then at the same time, I have to maximize this time. Finding balance in a way that you must, set your priorities. So you need to have a set of goals in your life until when you are going to sail. What is your purpose? So in then it comes to you, right? So in everything that you do, you have to do it with love, with passion, and with a purpose, because only then that you don't notice that you are working, because this is the one thing that you love to do, right? Regardless of, you may be distant from your family for quite a long time. Yes, at least your family knows about it and they understand about it as well. So only that. And the last thing that I could share for everybody, about sense of leadership, right? Being a master or reaching your goal to become a master or a chief engineer, I would say, it's not only a title or a prestige, but rather it comes with a responsibility. You're not just only an owner's representative of your company, because they have this $1 million asset that you have to take care with, right? But at the same time, you are there for your people, for your crew. You may be their mother and their father. You have to empathize with them. You have to be with them, especially at this time. So we cannot monopolize the kind of leadership that we are going to use on board. For me, I would always go to become a situational, leader, because you may lead your people. Depends on who they are and what kind of challenges that they are facing. So it's a day to day. But I think it all boils down also to you, as a leader, of how you are inspiring people, how you are helping them, and at the same time, how you leave a mark in their heart. Then even if you are not there, whatever teachings or learnings you have, embedded it to them, and then they can share it to the next generation. So it's like pay it forward. And whatever challenges that we have, it's just a normal day-to-day challenges, right? So I have this favorite poem. This is what we used to chant back in our academy days. Don't quit. I will share a few lines, if you may.
Yeah, sure.
So, success is failure turned inside out. The silver out. And you can never tell how close you are. It may be near, but it seems afar. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seems worse that you must not quit. If you have put your heart and soul with your goal, right? It may be difficult, but it's not possible. Imagine this technology that is coming right now. Imagine those people who are spending nights and days on developing it. They say it's impossible. They say that you cannot make it. It's very hard. It's difficult, but it's still possible. It may not, you may not get the result tomorrow or right away, but it will come. So don't quit.
What a source of inspiration. Captain Maria Cristina, and I'm going to pronounce this correctly, Javellana. So Maria, again, thank you. That was a great source of inspiration. We can continue for really a long time without it feeling as though it's been a long time. I think the audience also sees that. And we don't have the time right now to go through every comment in great detail, but we'll share that with Maria for her to also respond if you want, to any of these people directly, right? For questions that we may have left unanswered. But I can also see that there are increasing number of fans. So there are comments here saying, now I'm a fantastic fan of Maria. So well done. And thank you for being also our brand ambassador. We will have another subsequent conversation and go deeper into these issues. We have only shown a small flavor, an aperitif of what is Maria here. So again, thank you so much, Maria. I'll pass it back to Elisenda for her closing remarks. But before we do that, Maria, is there any other closing remark?
Yeah, and I would like to also give my appreciation and thanks to everyone, to my family, to my loved ones, to my friends, and for those people who spend some time and dedicate your time to attend our webinar. I hope that at some point that I have touched your heart and you be inspired. And the same goes also like how you inspire other people. And thank you so much for this kind of opportunity that you have given me, Anjan, where I can share my stories to others.
No, thank you so much. Again, it's been really an honor, a privilege for all of us, and it's been inspiring. I think it's very clear there, and we'll take you up again very soon. So thank you. Elisenda, back to you now.
Yes, thank you very much, Maria. And thank you to all of you for connecting with us today. We hope you enjoyed this session and found it, well, as inspiring as I did. Our next session will be about digital identity. This talk will be given live from Silicon Valley by Ian James Miles, one of the leading experts on this topic. We will soon be announcing the details, so please don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn so you are aware of the news, updates, and next sessions. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much and take care.